different. So usually I do a book review stream every Saturday night, or at least I try to, and I talk about everything that I've read this past week, and this week I've continued to read Heroes of Olympus, The House of Hades. Unfortunately, the only thing I have to talk about is in the book, Nico finally confesses his interest in you know who. For those of you who have read the book, you know who Nico has a crush on in the party. For those of you who don't know, I'm not going to spoil it, so you'll have to read the book. But that's the only thing that would be worth mentioning. And look at that, I'm already done with that. So that would be the end of the stream. So that's not worth doing a stream on. So instead, this week, I'm gonna mix it up, and I am going to do a stream on explaining my writing process, because I'm a 3 times published author, again, ready to be a 4th time. So I figured I'd go over my writing process, because one of the first streams I ever did, somebody had asked me about my writing process, so I kind of went off on a tangent talking about that. So I figured, since that was sort of an impromptu, unexpected explanation on my writing process, I figured I should do an official live stream where that was the goal from the beginning, instead of it, being a book review or whatever. So here's my official writing process. So probably comes to no surprise, my first step is brainstorming. I mean, that's a given. That should be the step one for pretty much anybody. Now, something I do want to mention, actually, before I go too much further, is if you are an author, or if you're aspiring to be an author or a writer or whatever, and you're looking for your own writing process, just know that every writing process, each person is different. You got to find what works for you. So by all means, listen to my process. Take what you want from it, adapt it however you want. You don't have to follow this exact process or anything like that. Just find what works for you. This is just what works for me, and you can take it and change it however you want, or just completely ignore me, whatever you want. But I want to get that out there. So my step one, brainstorming. I take about a month to brainstorm my idea, writing down whatever I can think of relating to that, whether like one idea, even if like one idea conflicts with another idea, still write it down. It doesn't matter. This is, the brainstorming process, but I do that for about a month. Okay. And then, Susie, hi, how you doing? And then my next step is outlining. Now, look, I know a lot of people, a lot of aspiring authors don't like to outline. I get that. Okay, I'm with you on that. However, I would highly encourage that you outline. And don't worry, I'll explain how I outline. Okay, but I would highly encourage it. Okay, because before I started outlining my books, I made about 3 or 4 attempts to write a book that failed. And I didn't outline any of those. I just and I never finished them until my mother-in-law, God bless that woman. She's like, "Hey, you should outline your books," And I'm like, "Oh God, I don't want to outline." She's like, "You should do it." I'm like, "Fine, I'll outline my books." So I finally did, and that made all the difference in the world. Because once I started outlining my books, I actually started finishing my books. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of comments. Oh my God, hi. That's really the gospel. Okay. Anyway. So what was I saying? So, if you are aspiring to be a writer and you've attempted to write manuscripts and you haven't finished any of those manuscripts and you don't outline, try outlining. It made all the difference for me. Okay. I've outlined every single book since then, and I've finished every single one I've attempted to write since then. So it makes all the difference. Okay. But now this is how I outline. Okay. So after I got my my brainstorm, I will open up a new Word document and I will I'll type into it chapter 1. And I like to name my chapters. If you don't like naming your chapters or whatever, you don't have to. Or if I can't think of a chapter name at the time, I don't. But hey, if I can come up with a chapter name, damn that chapter name, but it doesn't matter. So type in, chapter 1. And then I just start making bullet points of everything that needs to happen in that chapter, all the minor events. And then after I do that, I skip down a bunch of lines, and I write last chapter. I don't even number that one. Okay, just title it last chapter. Okay, and I write again all bullet points of all the different things that need to happen in the last chapter of that book. Okay, so now I have my first chapter and my last chapter. I have how the book's going to begin, and I have how it's going to end, which is actually figuring out how the book was going to end is actually the key that made all the difference for me to finally finishing my books, because I used to just write my books with no idea where they were going. I would just be typing stuff with no end goal, no ending event, climactic event that I was shooting for. It was just writing and just seeing what happens, and it didn't work for me. Okay. So I have my how it's going to begin, how it's going to end. So I will then go back up in between chapter 1 and last chapter. I will then put in chapter 2 and all the bullet points that need to happen there. Chapter 3, so on and so forth. Bullet points and fill in basically the point A to point B, or point, the beginning to the end. Outline all my chapters that way. Let's see. I'm just reading the comments. I'm nothing really relevant. Nothing I really wanted to respond to. I just wanted to see if there was anything I was missing. So that's how I outline my books. Okay, and again, whenever someone asks me what's the number one piece of advice I have for aspiring authors, I will scream it from the rooftops. Outline. It made so much of a difference for me. Okay. Anyway. So you got your outline done. So now you know how the story is going to go. You have, you know how it's going to end. So then I start typing up, my manuscript, and I don't like setting word goals or daily goals or anything like that. I just basically write when I'm in the mood to, when I get the inspiration to. Now, if I do go like an entire week without writing, then I will, be like, okay, it's the weekend. I haven't written anything all week. I need to sit down and actually get something done. But I don't write every day. When I am writing a book, because I'm not writing any right now. But when I do write a book, I don't necessarily write every day. Just when I can. But if I go more than a week, I'm like, all right, I got to buckle down and be productive, right? But I just start writing up my manuscript, and I do not edit as I go. And I highly discourage anybody who edits as they go, okay? Because and to those who edit as they go, I would like to remind them, okay, that writing is a process, okay? There's, step 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth, okay? So, for me, writing is step 3, okay? There's no point doing the writing step and the editing step at the same time. So if you're writing and you're trying to edit as you go, just remind yourself, hey, this is a process. There's a step for that. You're jumping ahead a step. You're on writing step now. Editing step comes later. So, don't worry about it. There's always time to edit it later. I know it's hard, but try to not edit as you go if you can help it. Now, I do make myself one exception to the writing as you go. If I'm typing something, I say that little like red squiggly line that shows a word's been misspelled or something like that. I'll be like, oh shoot, go back, fix that. But that's really the only exception. Now, if I see I can't remember what it is, the blue or yellow or what, the grammatical squiggly line that's in Microsoft Word, if that shows up, I ignore that. I'm like, yeah, to hell with grammar for right now. But spelling, I'll fix that. But other than that, I don't change anything as I go. So yeah, write the manuscript, and once it's done, once I finish my manuscript, I put it away for a month. Okay, this is actually another piece of advice that a lot of fellow authors do as well. Is they'll write their manuscript and then they will put it away for a little bit. Excuse me. Now, for the amount of time that it should be put away, or you should shelve it, a lot of people call it shelving it. The amount of time that you should shelve it for varies author to author. Me personally, I like to go for a month. Some people say, oh, a week, a month, 6 weeks. I've heard some people say a year. I'm like, a year, to heck with that, okay? But the point of shelving the book and just, not even looking at it for a while, at least a month for me, is to give yourself the opportunity to kind of forget about how the story goes. And so you can then go back and read the story again with fresh eyes and, have a fresh perspective. So put it away for a month. Usually, when I'm going through this month-long waiting process, I'll work on like my next book. Like, so this is my first book in the series. Once I was done with my first draft of this, I actually moved on to its sequel, started writing that. Once the month break was over, I then went back to writing this again. So if you need something to do and you got other ideas for books, now it's all there. We go. You got other ideas for books? Start working on another book or something like that. Just whatever you got to do, put it away for a month and let it rest, if you will. So now editing. This is the final step for writing the book. Editing. After you've had it sit for a month, I open up my manuscript again. I just start reading it, and I make changes as I see fit. Now, the first thing I do before I even start making any changes is I note what the word count is at the time. Okay, I make a note of that, and then I start, reading through my manuscript, making changes. And with me personally, I tend to add a lot more detail to my books as I edit them. Okay, now apparently I'm in the minority for this because from what I've seen in a lot of other author groups, they tend to do the opposite. They tend to edit and they cut stuff down. They cut out scenes. It's like, this is as important, get rid of it. Me, on the other hand, I'll be reading my manuscript and I'm like, ooh, I have an idea of how to like make this scene better or more interesting or more detail. So I'll start like putting in more detail for the scenes as I'm reading them. But yeah, I'll read the thing all the way through, make the changes as I see fit, and what I'm and the how am I trying to say this? So once I'm done with my first read through, because I'm going to do several, but once I'm done with my first read through, I look at what the word count is once I finished that manuscript, once I finished that read through. So I have what my word count was before I started reading it and what my word count is at the end of it. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is basically do a rinse and repeat until the word count that I have at the beginning of a read through and the word count I have at the end of a read through varies by less than 100 words. Okay. At least, that's for me. So I have never hit that goal on my first read through, second, maybe my third, but yeah, you never hit it on your first one, at least with me. So after I've done my first read through, and then put it back on the shelf, if you will, for another month, work on another book or whatever, but put it away for another month. And once that month is over, rinse and repeat. Bring it back out, start reading it again. Make it a note of the new word count again, where you're starting at, again, reading through, changing words, adding scenes, whatever, and just keep on doing that until, like I said, with me, the word count changes from the beginning to the end by less than a difference of 100 words, or at least that's for me. Okay. Now I specialize in novellas. Okay. I like novellas. So, my books tend to be, about 30,000 words, each. So, if you like writing longer books, you aim for like 120,000 words or something like that. You might want to give yourself a higher threshold for like what word count you're going for. It's like, okay, you write 120,000 words, threshold of, I don't know, 500 words. I don't know, whatever works for you. But for me, I choose 100 words because I write shorter books. Okay. And when I typically, I end up having to go with 3 to 5 different drafts of my books. So usually, like, my first read through, I end up like adding like another 3,000 words. Second read through was like I add another 1,000. and then it's adding another 800, and I slowly, get closer and closer to that number until finally, my, fourth or fifth or sixth read through, I get down to, oh, hey, 88 word difference this time. I'm good. I can finally, call this thing done. Because to be honest, your manuscript is never going to be perfect. You will always find something that you can change. You could read through 100 times. You're like, oh, I'm gonna change this word to this word or something like that. There's always going to be something, or I'm gonna add in this one word. There'll always be something. Okay, so that's why you need to just not aim for perfection and be like, okay, I've hit my 100 word difference goal. Good to go. And then from there, you can send it off to your publisher, traditional publishing, hybrid, self-publishing, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. But anyway, that's my entire writing process. It's 4 steps. And like I've said, I'm not writing any books right now. I'm actually focusing on trying to gather an audience for my current collection of books. But once, if I do start writing again, that's the process I'll continue doing, because it's what's worked for me. I've been able to produce 4 books with it. I do have ideas for a prequel series to my main series. So if I did start writing books again, it would probably be for that. But anyway, that's it for my stream. So unless anyone in the comments section has something they want to ask, real quick, now's your chance. I'll give you a couple seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. And as always, thank you for watching.